I didn't have survivor's guilt, but I felt guilty for not feeling guilty.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying?
I think that's the definition of survivor's guilt.
Is it? Okay.
I know I had the same thing. Like, man, I don't feel bad about.
I didn't.
What everyone told me, I was different. I was like, man, you kind of get bummed out. In the warrior sense of it, you're like, them dudes put out so hard, they got to go back.
Right.
My ass still down there.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I'm talking about? Yeah, like reversing your
faith
head.
that I talked about earlier.
Right?
That's the reason why.
Yeah, man. When you talk about losing your faith, it's like you should.
Like this isn't where we want to be. I mean, I want to,
of course,
in game.
That's the whole point. So down here.
So that's just how I've always thought about it, man. Like they went out doing what they love to do, and now
how awesome is that?
No
one ever gets to go like that.
They made it. No
one ever gets to go like that.
No. And
that's how you know you're putting out in the right way.
And I never second guessed anything. I mean, if you ask me now, like that same building I wouldn't change anything we did.
Sure.
Happens,
anybody who second guesses the whole thing, they shouldn't have been in it. That's how you can tell, like then they shouldn't have been in there in the first place.
Right.
Because the other guys would be like, I did exactly what I was trained to do. We all know that shifts in every situation. I mean, you could play the same scenario out 50 times. You're going to have 50 different results.
Right.
With us, because we're going to get something you can't even compete against.
Well, the thing about it is like we run into burning buildings, man.
Right. My point with that. Exactly.
Whenever it's your time, it's your time, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's no other way to go about it.
Man, the enemy y'all fight, man, you can't talk to it.
It's Mother Nature, man.
And it eats and breathes and feeds and it consumes everything around it. You can't have a conversation with it. You got to hit it with water, right?
Yeah. That's the only thing we can do, I just feel as long as you do everything you're supposed to do, and that's from the beginning. Guys have issues like, with calls or whatever else. I've always told our younger guys, I'm like, if you do everything you were supposed to do and then some, you can come out after every call, you can come back and you go straight to sleep. It'll never haunt you.
It's funny when people lose track of that. I'm like, man, we go, each day is each day, right? You're looking for that one that you think that's, man, if you make it back at the end of the day, especially with our firefighters, man, that's a different story altogether, because everybody's always running the opposite direction you guys are.
Right. I hate the what if, what if I would have done this?
My mother would always say, if my aunt had balls, she'd be my uncle. I'm like, man, you can what if everything to death, man. That's not how we play it.
Right.
It's like, we just go.
That's what you're supposed to do.
We just go.
Because if you pussyfoot around it, it's just going to get worse.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like as far as like whatever's in front of you.
That's usually the people that come at you like that because they never been in it.
Right.
Like, well, what if I'm like, okay, no disrespect, but have you ever had to go through something like that? Because there's some of those questions people ask when you've gone through it. You're like, I hadn't even thought about that, because there wasn't even an option in there.
Right. And we talked about earlier, like the whole culture of the fire service is changing, and like training is a big thing, right? And I don't. This is the first time I ever talked about this publicly, too. So not a lot of people know that I've had this experience, and. But I hear guys talking, like for instance, like we're having a leadership class, right? You got to pay $100 to go to this class, and this guy's going to teach you about leadership. Okay, well, I'm that guy. Is like, well, why are you teaching leadership? Like, what makes you that guy? What have you done? But usually those type of dudes are the ones that are sitting back there armchair quarterbacking, but they ain't never done shit in their career. And that's not me being negative. That's just how it's the culture's kind of going to. And that's not everybody. Like there's some great dudes out there.
Well, there's a difference between learning to be a leader and then having to have applied it and becoming a leader. That's the same way we go to school. Everyone reads the same thing in the book, and then you go out and everyone applies it differently. If you don't ever apply it, then you don't have any idea what it means.
Right.
Because we interpret things differently until you get out there and there's those stages. That's why age is rank. And that's why I rank.
Right. You think anybody can be a leader?
No.
I don't either. That's why.
No.
It's just something that's
it depends on what now. It depends on how far down. Look, even in the poorest,
ability to possibly become a leader, whether or not they exercise that
or a
ability.
good leader. I guess you always be
a leader in what? Because even in the poorest neighborhoods, there's a really rich person who lives like king. I mean, we put those standards on ourselves. Mm-hmm. So yes, everyone can become a leader and grow from that. Whether or not you do it and what levels you do it at are completely up to you.
Right.
We all come in just a blobber and block of nothing mess. And life is the millstone that we go through to sharpen us. Mm-hmm. However long you want to stay on that millstone's up to you. Because even when the blade's on there and there's sparks flying from it and it's sharp and it's screaming, we don't even pay attention to that.
Right.
Probably like, man, what are you doing to me? I'm sharpening you.
Right.
And you can't appreciate it till you come off of it, how sharp you are.
Right.
Most people want them to stay on the mill that long.
This is the Team Never Quit podcast. So buckle up, Buttercup.